It's that season. It's Halloween season. We all know what that means. It is time for the end of the Halloween trilogy that started back in 2018. Jamie Lee Curtis back as Laurie Strode. And this morning I have Andi Matichak, who is joining me. She's one of the stars of the film of all the trilogies. We're talking about Halloween Ends. We're talking about the horror genre. We're talking about her favorite Halloween movies. It's an all horror and Halloween themed edition of the collection. Let's not waste any time. Here's Andi Matichak. And she joins me right now on the line. We're talking about Halloween Ends, one of the stars of the film. Andi, how are we doing this morning?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are yourself?
I'm doing great. You know, we were just speaking just a moment ago before we started rolling sound, and you were saying you're excited. This is the day of the release. Halloween Ends. It's finally here. The trilogy is ending. Literally, it's in the name. How do we feel about the movie now being out in theaters and Peacock?
I don't think it's really hit me yet. I mean, this entire experience has been a huge part of my life since 2017, and to kind of have it be coming to a close is really wild. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis and I were having a conversation over the weekend, or when I was back in LA. What day is it? I don't know what day it is. This has been such a crazy release these couple of days with the press junket and the premiere and all the mayhem. But we were talking about how it's just kind of like hitting us in waves, and like it hasn't necessarily sunk in what we've done in this whole experience, and the fact that now it's going to be out in the world is it's really, I mean, I don't really have the words to describe it, right? We're just excited that we finally get to get it into people's brains and eyeballs, because it's a doozy and it's a blast of a movie.
Now, you're lucky if you get to be in a movie and a movie gets to be successful. You're lucky if it gets a sequel. And then if you can get a trilogy, you're one of the select few. Was the plan always, when you started the first Halloween back in 2018, the direct sequel to the original series, did you think that this was going to go 3 movies? Was that always the plan?
No, it was something that I know now. I know there was a potential for 3 all along, but it was not at all set in stone. And it was really going to be 2018, and then we're going to just see what happens and see how it goes. And after 2018 came out, I mean, it was a huge success and record breaking success, especially for Jamie Lee. And there was actually like a decent amount of radio silence for a little bit on what we were doing. And then all of a sudden they came back and they're like, we're not just doing 1, we're doing 2 more. And I mean, I was just so excited that I got to come back and create with these people again.
Now, for you, so let me say for me, I'm not a huge horror film person, but for some reason, I can watch the Halloween movies. But I really can't get into the Freddy. I don't like people coming to my nightmares. That freaks me out too much. For you, were you always were you a horror fan? Because I know a lot of actors and actresses find their way in the early goings through the horror genre. But you're getting this big, massive Halloween trilogy. But were you always a horror fan growing up, or was this kind of out of your comfort zone?
It was definitely, from a viewer standpoint, I was way too scared to watch them growing up. I really couldn't watch scary movies growing up. They would just give me nightmares, and I would not be well. So I didn't really watch horror movies all that much. And then once I booked 2018 and I was exposed to the horror community and the horror kind of culture that surrounds the film, you realize that there are just so many subgenres also within it, and there's something really for everybody. So I have a huge appreciation and respect for horror, and I definitely enjoy it more now, especially having made some. I kind of understand the formula a little bit, so I feel like I'm a little bit more prepared than just going in totally blind like before. But yeah, it's something that I now definitely do enjoy.
What is the formula that you figured out for the horror film? Is it suspense? Like what makes a great horror story?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's so many. I think that's what's so cool about horror is there. When I say formula, I really mean like, I now know the different types of jump scares, how you set them up, how technically they're shot. I know that like if you hear a pause like this, most likely this or this will happen. Things like that is like, I feel a little bit more tipped off, so maybe what's coming. But in terms of like a formula to make a great movie, it's really, that's what's so cool about this genre is there are so many subgenres within it. There are so many interesting voices, and you kind of, horror doesn't really have rules in the same way that other ones do, other than kind of like, you know, how comedy has setup, punchline, joke. You know, this has whatever you would call it to get to that ultimate scare.
Now, I heard Jamie Lee Curtis in an interview talking about the film. Of course, this is the last time she's going to be portraying the iconic Laurie Strode in the Halloween franchise. But she said that this movie kind of also addresses the mental trauma that Jamie Lee Curtis's character has gone throughout the Halloween trilogy, or actually series of films. Would you say that that's a fair characterization? Does it address kind of what these people go through from a mental standpoint?
Definitely. There's a 4-year gap between 2018 and Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. So where we find all of our characters in Halloween Ends, there's been either a lot of work done to help people mentally cope, or not enough work done, and you can kind of see where each character lies on that. David has really created a space in this film to explore that and have those quiet moments. You can kind of see people's reactions. I mean, Allison, for example, is a character who, you know, she's looked at by the town as kind of this heroic, stoic survivor, and underneath all that pain and all that trauma, all that thing, it's all still there, and it's like right under the surface. And David has allowed for space to kind of, when she's presented with new events and new relationships, you can kind of start to see the cracks in that facade and like see what's actually under the surface in a real way.
Oh man, I see. I'm excited for Halloween Ends again. It's on Peacock, the streaming service, and in theaters starting today. This is release day. It's going to be a massive movie. We all know this is the Halloween season. The movie says Halloween. How could it not be massive? That you said that you weren't a big horror film fan growing up. You and I are pretty much the same age, so I have to ask you, what were your Halloween favorites growing up? What were your favorite movies to go to during this season that weren't horror? And I want to see if they're similar to mine.
Well, Hocus Pocus for sure.
Obviously.
Number one, obviously. I mean, also Halloween Town.
Yes.
I don't know. That one to me is like, I still love Halloween Town. I wonder if it holds up. I need to go back and watch it.
It 1000% holds up. Let me just tell you, it 1000%. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We watched it. My wife and I watched it not too long ago. Holds up.
That's awesome. Yeah, Halloween Town. You know, the reason why I kind of had to stop watching scary movies as a kid is because I think it was a Disney Channel original movie. It's called like Don't Look Under the Bed. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do. Wow.
Yeah, that is what made me like, nope, done with that.
For me, it was Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire. For some reason, that freaked me out. But yeah, see, there are still some great classics out there. The one I had was Beetlejuice. Do you like Beetlejuice?
Oh my God, yes, Beetlejuice. But Beetlejuice, I don't know why. I wouldn't necessarily like watch it only at Halloween. I think that's the one that maybe like transcends throughout the rest of the year too.
Yeah, it's a year rounder. It's like Home Alone and Christmas time. Yeah, you want to watch it during Christmas, but if it's on in the middle of March, you're going to sit there and watch the whole movie anyway because it's just a classic.
Yeah, totally.
Andi, what's the plan after this? Obviously, you've got this big trilogy under your belt. This is a massive thing for any actress to have. What are you looking to do next? I'm hearing how you're saying you're looking at how they frame shots and set things up. I don't know if you want to be a director. Do you want to write? Is acting the main focus now? What can we see next from you?
Acting is definitely still a huge focus, and we just kind of have to see what comes next. That's the beauty of the industry I'm in, is we just kind of you keep your head down and keep working hard, and then see what opportunities come your way. I also, though, did start a production company, and we're going to be going into production on our first feature next summer, which is really cool.
Congratulations. That's amazing. That's awesome. So, and where do people find out information about this?
that we'll have plenty of press releases and all the things we need to as we kind of go along. But for the time being, it's we're still like in the early phases of script drafts and notes and getting people attached.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I wish you nothing but the most success. Everybody listening, go support Andi, Jamie Lee Curtis. It's Halloween Ends. It's out right now in theaters. Andi, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day.
You too.